The EVE Vanguard pre-alpha playtest is over, and now that I've had some time with it, I wanted to share my first thoughts on the game and take a look at where the devs at CCP might be heading with Vanguard. Quick heads up, this video is sponsored, but all thoughts are entirely my own, and everything I say is my honest opinion. Before getting into the rambling and general impressions, if you're even slightly interested in playing EVE Vanguard in the future, make sure to wishlist the game on Steam. I'll have a link down in the description below. Enjoy. Look, extraction shooters and MMO style games aren't usually my go-to genre. I've always been more into hardcore competitive or tactical shooters. Snappy aim, headshots, clutching rounds, that's my thing. But for this playtest, I invited my friend Easy, who's more of an MMO fan, to join me. We wanted to see if this game could pull both of us in. One of us comes from a fast-paced shooter world, the other from the MMO side. Can EVE Vanguard strike a balance that grabs players from both ends? EVE Vanguard is a pre-alpha MMO FPS set in the New Eden universe, and because I didn't play EVE Online, I had to go look that up. For those who are new players like myself, the New Eden universe is a huge sci-fi world where humans live in space after getting stuck far from Earth. It's full of giant spaceships, powerful empires, and players who build, trade, and battle across thousands of star systems. EVE Vanguard is deeply connected to the EVE universe. Actions here can have consequences in New Eden. Okay, with that quick explanation over with, let's get into the actual game itself. I had no idea what I was getting into when I got access to the EVE Vanguard pre-alpha playtest. I knew some of the basics, like that it was CCP, the developers of EVE Online, trying their hand at another FPS, and that it had an extraction style loop but set in the EVE universe. But as soon as you hit the main menu, you can deploy and jump straight into action. You can go in solo, duo, trio with a squad. Even if you go in solo, you're still up against full squads, so yeah, it's tough, but honestly, that's a good challenge for a game like this. Before dropping in, you can choose the planet you want to land on. There's also a new 9v9 PvP mode called Insurgency, or Havoc as it is labeled in game. You pick a faction, Legion or Pirates. I was hyped for this game mode because I love shooters like Call of Duty and other team-based FPS games, but it was impossible to get a proper match. I kept spawning in alone and technically winning by default. I think it was just bad timing, too late into the playtest, and there were bigger betas going on at the same time. Still, I think Insurgency has real potential, not just for FPS fans, but also a solid warm-up before diving into a more intense survival extraction part of the game. So instead, I hopped into the main extraction mode with a buddy. The maps might look similar at first glance, but each have different weather, minerals, and enemy types. That matters when you're trying to decide where to go for specific progression goals. Once you pick a planet, you get launched down in a pod. Load times were a bit long, but that's expected. When the doors fly open, you're dropped into a beautiful, well-designed map. After that, it's mostly about wandering, looting, and trying to figure out what's going on. I only got to try one gun, the base auto rifle, but it was surprisingly fun to mess around with. You can slot in chipsets and attachments to upgrade it, and switching ammo types or flipping from alpha to beta chipsets felt super clean during gunfights. Now, I didn't get to face any real players, but the NPCs were alright. Their models and textures could use some polish. They felt kind of like a placeholder, but they worked. They'd sometimes ambush you and legit make you jump, or confuse you where their shots were coming from. That said, they'd also get stuck behind rocks or walls and start shooting from weird spots. Definitely something the devs need to clean up. Some were tankier than others, so there's clearly some scaling or tiers to the bots. If you caught the Vanguard keynote on CCP's Twitch channel, you probably saw they teased customizable faction weapons, suits, and even drop pod skins. So hopefully that means more visual variety for both players and NPCs, because right now it feels very plain and bare bones. They talked about a lot of upcoming features too, so feel free to check out the VOD or read the highlight summaries. The gunplay itself was solid. I didn't have any major issues, but obviously that could change when you're in a real gunfight with another player. Ping, skill, and all that other stuff comes into play. Let's quickly go over the aspects of the game and then come to a conclusion for EVE Vanguard. The pacing of each session felt well tuned. From the moment you drop in to when you extract, everything moves at a steady pace. I felt like I had time to explore most of the map, fight enemies, complete contract, and gather loot without it ever feeling like a rush. In the background, the game cycles through extraction development stages, stage 1 to 4. When it hits stage 4, that's when it's time to craft a signal beacon, extract, and return to the main menu. From there, you can see all the loot and resources you picked up. Even during slower objectives like mining contracts, the game keeps you engaged. NPCs constantly push back and make sure you're not just standing waiting for a progress bar to finish. It keeps things moving, and I never felt bored during a session. The interface is mostly solid. Menus, crafting, swapping weapon chipsets, it all worked without issues. It felt clean and responsive. The only real problems I ran into were some glitched interactions. Sometimes you'd walk up to loot or an objective and it just wouldn't work. That's understandable in a pre-alpha build. Something that could help new players is a basic checklist or mission tracker. There's not a lot of guidance, so it can feel confusing if you're new, but that might be intentional. Maybe they're aiming for a more hardcore audience where less is more. Crafting gear, ammo, and deployables was smooth. No complaints there, but occasionally Occasionally, you'd run into help text floating on the screen or awkward UI elements that felt temporary. I also noticed some minor lag or rubber banding around teammates and certain walls. Again, nothing groundbreaking, but definitely something the devs want to tighten up on. On ultra settings, the game looks great. Lighting, environments, and overall vibe were on point. Sure, some terrain looked a bit copy-pasted, but that's probably just due to limited assets right now. The big thing that stood out to me was how plain the characters and NPCs looked. They gave off serious test dummy energy. Hopefully that's just a placeholder art. The bots need more texture and personality, and the player characters could use better detail too. If we're comparing it to other space-themed shooters, Vanguard still has ways away to go visually. Not in terms of fidelity, but in making the game feel distinct. It needs a stronger visual identity. Some style, some edge, something that makes it stand out. Right now it works, but it doesn't stick with you. I didn't get a chance to play against real players during the test, so it's hard to speak on PvP balance. But the systems in place do give you options. You can go loud and aggressive or take the stealthy loot extraction approach. That variety helps different playstyles feel viable. Like any FPS, there's going to be a skill gap, but I think less experienced players can still enjoy this. It doesn't throw you into chaos without any tools. If you want to sneak around and avoid fights, that seems like a valid strategy, at least for now. As far as a broader accessibility features go, it's hard to say. I didn't notice much in terms of options for things like remapping or visual settings. That's something they'll hopefully build on later. The audio work was solid, everything felt grounded, the environmental sounds, weapon effects, and ambient audio all matched the tone of the game. Nothing stood out to me as off. It's not flashy, but it doesn't need to be. It adds to the immersion and doesn't distract from the action. The progression loop is what you'd expect from a survival shooter. You drop in, collect resources, craft upgrades, and extract. It's satisfying when it works. I like finding new materials and applying chipsets or attachments to my gear. I didn't fully grasp every item or mechanic in the time I had, but that's part of the fun. With more hours and a better understanding of how things connect, I think this loop could become really rewarding. Right now, it's a little shallow, but there's potential there. One thing I found cool was the idea of being a clone. You can add another body to drop into the planet, fight, and die again. There's something interesting about that. No huge story moment hit me, but the vibe stuck. If they choose to explore it more, it could add some real weight to the experience. So what's my takeaway after this playtest? Vanguard is heading in the right direction. The new map variants were a solid step forward, and the addition of Havoc mode shows CCP is thinking about variety, but there's still a lot of work to do. Visual depth, matchmaking, and bug fixes and core gameplay systems all need more polish. Right now, it's in rough spots, but you can see the shape of something really promising. I think players who love extraction shooters or sci-fi settings will find something to like here, especially if CCP leans into the EVE universe more in future updates. Want to help shape the game? Join the EVE Vanguard Discord and get involved. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace. Oh my god, so bright.
Reinforcements due to over stage 2. You see that?
Yeah, I saw that now.
Oh my god, there's big box here. They're big boys.
Oh,
come back, tell me.
Oh god. Hold on. Where? Over there?
Punch. They're both sides. It's like there's some on the ship that we went up, and then there's some yellow bogies right there. You're getting fucking penetrated, man.
Uh-oh. We're low on ammo, man. I just gunned him.
Oh, there's a guy on my body. There's a guy on my body.
Hold on, I don't have any ammo.
He's coming towards you.
Wait, is that you? Shooting at? Where is this guy?
No, I'm dead. You can see my thing. He's like... I can't ping properly. I have a quarter. You're gonna have to revive me. You're on me. Okay. Where'd you go?
I don't know. How do we heal?
Very good question. I assume in the equipment.
Oh. The AI is so weird. They'll shoot you, but they're not. Oh wait, there he is. That guy's big. There's a bunch of guys over here. Oh yeah, right here. And right here. What? That was glitched. Oh, he threw a flashbang. It's really hard to see on this map.
Yeah, once again, my old scope, I could just see everything.
An open contract over here. Is that where we came from though? No, right?
The thing is, I just want to be able to extract equipment. What am I still missing? I'm missing nanites. I don't get nanites. Are you usually standing in it
I think so.
the whole time?
Time to extract.
And then maybe because I wasn't.
Yeah, we weren't standing in it. Yeah, we weren't standing in it. Oh.
Mine just.
Yeah, come in here, come in here. Come in here. Yeah.
Wait, how?
We both have to be in it.
Okay, just don't look at my kills, man. It's fine.
Wait, how do I see that? Oh.
You see the record?
Yeah.